If you're from Michigan, I'm not from Michigan. I went to school at U of M, and I lived in Michigan for 10 years. I grew up in New York. But if you're from Michigan, you're a Lions fan, mostly. And if you're a Lions fan, you spent your entire life watching the Lions lose. I mean, it really has been consistently poor in Detroit. It's been one of the worst organizations in sports for the better part of the last 3 decades. But from 3-13 to 9-8 to 12-5 over the last 3 years, the arrows pointed up. All right, first division title in 30 years last year for Detroit. And there are those out there in the betting markets that are expecting the Lions to come back to earth. Oh, they had this huge improvement. They've gone from 3 wins to 12 wins over a 2-year span. They can't possibly do that again. Not this better. The Lions look absolutely loaded. And in all my years in Las Vegas and all my years in Michigan, this is probably the single best Lions team that I have ever seen. All right, let's start with what they're going to do this year. Of course, that was last year. GM Brad Himes was the NFL Executive of the Year last year. Dan Campbell, he's been biting kneecaps. It's now his 4th season as the Lions head coach. Worth noting, offense coordinator Ben Johnson turned down head coaching interviews. You don't see coordinators do that very often. Johnson wanted to come back. He knows that there's something special in Detroit going right now. And of course, we're talking about a top 5 rushing offense and a top 5 passing offense from last year. They arguably have the best offensive line in the NFL. Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl for LA. There's a lot of questions. How good is Goff? Is Goff the guy to go with moving forward? Obviously, the Rams gave up on him. We don't want this guy. Give us the veteran Stafford. Lions haven't given up on him, and deservedly so, because he's been really good in Detroit. Now, do we expect more of the same from Goff this year? Why not? Again, top 5 rushing offense, top 5 passing offense, and the best offensive line in the league. You have questions at the QB position? This QB took his team to a Super Bowl. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are back from last year. 2 Pro Bowlers on that unit. They signed Kevin Zeitler in free agency. He was a Pro Bowler in Baltimore last year as the 5th starter. Running backs loaded. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. The first tandem in NFL history to produce both more than 1,000 scrimmage yards and 10 rushing touchdowns each in the history of the NFL. So that's a pretty good duo, no question. The tight end, Sam Laporta, was elite as a rookie last year. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown signed an extension. The former number 1 pick, Jameson Williams, he'll have a full year. I do have concerns about wide receiver depth. If Detroit gets injured in their receiving core, they do not have a lot of quality behind the starters. But these starters, from an offensive standpoint, you grade out the Lions starters against anyone in the league. And they're up there with the elites. This team should be scoring points in bunches again. As long as the receivers stay healthy, that's the weak spot for Detroit. Well, we'll see how Goff plays this year. We've seen good Goff, we've seen bad Goff in his NFL career, and in Detroit, nothing but the good Goff. And obviously, with the coaching staff returning, with Campbell returning, with Ben Johnson returning, there's continuity for Detroit as well on that side of the football. I'll talk about the Lions' defense, special teams schedule just a minute. I got to promote. Look, I'm spending a lot of time here in the month of July putting out a bunch of NFL content. The reason I'm doing it now, twofold. First, I've done this work. I did this work in June and in the first weeks of July, which is why these videos are coming out right now while it's fresh. My NFL win report, fresh, hot off the presses, just came out this week as I record. And the NFL win report has been really good, long term. 100 wins, 50 losses, 3 pushes, 67%. The first report was 2001. I'm doing it every year since, and it's made my clients and I a whole lot of money. Again, when you talk about a 67% record over a 20-something year sample size, it's pretty good. The big tickets have been even better, 16-4, 80% long term. Last year, Packers over 7.5 wins was the 5% big ticket. Was a sweat early, was a right side late. Green Bay obviously got over the win total. In fact, they gave the Lions a battle for the division. So that win report is available right now, wagertalk.com. You get it at my page, wt.buzz/TC, and you get $20 off. Just use Report20 as your promo code at checkout. Again, Report20 gives you $20 off the NFL Season 1 report at checkout at wagertalk.com. It is hot off the presses. I encourage you. 5 plays, including one big ticket selection. We may have additional releases after week 2 or week 3 of the preseason. We'll have to see how the markets play out. We'll have to see how the teams that I'm still interested in maybe betting on play out. But there's potential for an additional ad or 2 in August. But we have 5 plays available right now for that win report. Again, you get it right now. Use Report20 at checkout to take $20 off. And of course, one more thing. I don't ask for a lot. If you want to buy, that's great. I appreciate it. You don't have to buy. I don't care. Thank you for considering it. The one thing I will ask for, give me a like. Click. Done. If you like this content, it makes all the difference to the YouTube algorithms. And we have all previews up for all 32 NFL teams. If they're not up posted now, they'll be posted within the next day or 2. So check out all the NFL content free right here from wagertalk.com. The likes, the follows, the comments, much appreciated. So, defense coordinator last year, Aaron Glenn, he's a guy that the Lions love, but the defense is mediocre. All right. They allowed 99 NFL worst 69 completions of 20 yards or more last year. So the defense was very vulnerable to the big play, especially in the passing game. The defensive line is interesting. Aiden Hutchinson had 21 quarterback pressures last year, second to Nick Bosa in the NFL. And you're second to Nick Bosa on anything, you're doing something right. We expected Hutchinson to be a monster. Then they brought in, he's got 21 sacks in 2 years. Elite defensive tackle, DJ Reader, they added in free agency. He's a difference maker. They returned Aleem McNeil. I think this DL might be pretty good, and they might be able to put pressure on the opposing quarterback, and that obviously key. They had a problem on the other side of Hutchinson last year. The secondary has been rebuilt for Detroit, as probably it should be. They traded for Carlton Davis to Tampa Bay. It's cornerback position. They signed Amik Robinson from Vegas. They drafted Terrion Arnold with top Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw Jr. with their top 2 picks. So they drafted, they traded, and they signed free agency, all working on that secondary. That's their 3rd straight, by the way, Terrion Arnold. 3rd straight number 1 pick from Alabama. So I'm not sure if they're trying to do what the Knicks are doing to get all the Villanova guys there. But Detroit and Alabama are having a pretty big combination, which is probably one of those team chemistry things that's a positive when you keep on bringing in stars that played with each other in college. I don't think that's a negative thing at all. And certainly, on paper, this secondary a heck of a lot more talented than it was last year at this time. Make no mistake about it. Lions' schedule is tough, much tougher than it was a year ago. Of course, when we remember last year, Detroit won straight up on the road at Kansas City, Green Bay, Tampa, New Orleans. So they're capable of winning tough road games. They're on Monday Night Football twice. They're on Sunday Night Football twice. They're on Thursday Night Football twice. The league isn't hiding Detroit this year. They got Detroit front and center all year long. They have an early Week 5 bye, which I don't think is a great thing. You like to have your bye a little bit later, especially when you're a contender. But it's nothing that's going to change my strong opinion about the team. And of course, from a scheduling standpoint, AFC South and NFC West are the opponents that the NFC North plays this year. AFC South, one of the weaker divisions. NFC West, not one of the toughest. The 3 extra games, Buffalo, at Dallas, and Tampa, which isn't nightmarish, but it's also not weak by any stretch of the imagination. But then again, this was a division winner last year. You don't expect them to face a very weak slate. One nuance, there's only one home game between September 30th, week 4, and November 17th, week 11. That's something of concern if things start to go south. But expectations are very high for Detroit. And Lions fans know when expectations are high over the last 3 decades, Detroit's been bet against. I don't think that's the case this year. If I'm looking at the Lions and their season win total, I can only go up and over the total. We do like Detroit. I think they're going to be pretty darn good. In fact, like I said, the best Lions team I've seen in the last 30 years. So, yeah, we like the Lions. We'll see if we can make money with them as the season progresses. Thank you so much for watching Wager Talk TV. Again, the like makes all the difference. the comments. Appreciate them, and I will be back to reply and answer questions in the comments throughout the summer months. Of course, take advantage of promo code REPORT20 to get $20 off my NFL season win report. And of course, stay tuned. I'm doing all 32 NFL team previews. You can find the next one. Just click on the screen right over there. Thanks for watching. Best of luck.